deep one left wing. Caitlin Clark is hurt.
This was supposed to be an easy win, right? The Indiana Fever had just wiped the floor with the Chicago Sky by a stunning 35-point blowout. Fans, analysts, and even the players themselves likely thought they could coast through their next game. But what if I told you that the game between the Fever and the Atlanta Dream turned into an all-out battle that would leave fans on the edge of their seats?
I think they'll make some adjustments, but they are doing a good job playing with two bigs so far.
And there's Clark turning the corner, getting to the rim and drawing the foul.
This was no walk in the park. In fact, what unfolded was a thrilling, heart-pounding matchup that was anything but predictable. Caitlin Clark was once again the superstar. But this game wasn't just about her. This was a team effort, and it had a few surprises in store. Aaliyah Boston was not only the Fever's defensive anchor, but showed her offensive prowess in a way that turned the game on its head. So, what happened in this high-stakes matchup? Well, let's break it all down, from the first play to the final buzzer. Right from the jump, the Indiana Fever were showing they weren't just going to roll over for the Dream. The tip-off seemed like a simple formality, with everyone expecting Brittany Griner to win it cleanly, as she towers over everyone else at 6'9". But the Fever had something up their sleeve that would completely catch the Dream off guard. Instead of contesting the tip-off directly, Aaliyah Boston took a step back. It was a calculated move designed to set up Natasha Howard for a sneaky tip to the backcourt. The result? Kelsey Mitchell sprinted down the floor and scored the first basket of the game in an unorthodox but genius play. This wasn't a simple opening moment. It was a testament to the Fever's ability to think outside the box and catch their opponents off guard from the very first possession. This early strategy showed just how prepared the Fever were for this matchup, and it gave them the edge they needed at the start. However, the Dream weren't about to let that play define the game. They quickly recovered, adjusting their defense and finding a way to counter the Fever's fast break style. They knew that if they didn't match the Fever's intensity, they would be in trouble. Unfortunately for Indiana, despite their early lead, their defensive struggles were apparent right from the beginning. The Dream's front court was just too much to handle. Bree Jones was absolutely dominant on the glass, showing incredible hustle and strength as she muscled past the Fever defenders. Indiana had no answer for her, and the Dream capitalized on every single second chance opportunity. Alicia Gray's three-pointer attempt was off, but Jones was there for the rebound. She swiftly spun under the basket and finished with an easy layup, showing just how aggressive Atlanta's offense was. Defensively, the Fever just couldn't lock down the Dream's key players. The Dream's front court had their way with Indiana, whether it was down low with Grier or on the perimeter with Gray. Pow Pow also took full advantage of Indiana's poor positioning, drawing a foul and finishing with a tough and one play. Meanwhile, the Fever's defensive lapses were getting worse. Every time they tried to tighten up, they found themselves out of position, and it felt like the Dream were getting open shots with ease. The Fever's defense wasn't just slow, it was almost non-existent, and the Dream took full advantage of that. Just when things started to spiral for Indiana, Caitlin Clark stepped up in a big way. Clark's leadership and her ability to score in bunches were exactly what the Fever needed. From the moment she entered the game, she made her presence felt. Her ability to drive to the rim and finish under pressure was something the Dream simply couldn't handle. But it wasn't just her scoring. Clark became the driving force behind Indiana's offensive flow. On one play, she expertly set up Kelsey Mitchell with a fake handoff, fooling Atlanta's defense and leaving Mitchell wide open for an easy layup. This play wasn't just a textbook example of teamwork, it showed how Clark was able to break down defenses with her court vision and IQ. Clark wasn't only looking to score, she was also creating opportunities for her teammates. Whether it was driving the lane and drawing fouls or dishing out assists, Clark had her fingerprints all over everything. Her quick decision-making and composure under pressure were evident, and this ignited a spark for Indiana, lifting their spirits and bringing the team back into the game. Even when things seemed to go wrong, Clark was always there to pull them back from the edge.
Be able to get an assist after you show the graphic. Those numbers are just absolutely phenomenal for Caitlin Clark.
Boston, pretty crossover, gets to the rim and draws the foul.
On the flip side, the Dream weren't about to let Clark steal the spotlight. Brittany Griner continued to assert her dominance on the court. Every time she got the ball in the post, it felt like a mismatch. Whether she was backing down defenders or turning for an easy jump hook, Griner was able to use her size and skill to overpower anyone standing in front of her. No matter how hard the Fever tried, they just couldn't stop Griner from scoring, and this became a real issue. The Dream were taking advantage of their inside game, making it hard for the Fever to stop their offensive flow. Alicia Gray was another major factor in the Dream's success. While Grier was dominating inside, Gray was doing her damage on the perimeter. Every time Indiana started to close the gap, Gray was there to drain a three-pointer, extending Atlanta's lead. The Dream's offensive strategy was clear: use their bigs to bully the Fever down low and then stretch the floor with shooters like Gray. It was a strategy that was working to perfection, and Indiana just couldn't find a way to stop it. The Fever were being overpowered, and it felt like every time they tried to get back into the game, Atlanta had an answer. But then something shifted. Aaliyah Boston, who had been quietly doing the dirty work on defense, took control of the game in a way that no one expected. We've all seen the highlights of Caitlin Clark's incredible scoring ability, but Boston's performance in this game was arguably just as important. She wasn't just a defensive powerhouse, she was starting to dominate offensively as well. Boston took a full court rebound, charged down the floor like a guard, and finished with a tough layup through contact. The crowd went wild. It wasn't just the play, it was the attitude. Boston was showing everyone that she wasn't just a role player. She was a game changer, and she was ready to take over. This was the moment the Fever started to make their comeback, and Boston was at the heart of it. As Boston continued to impose her will on both ends of the court, Caitlin Clark, ever the leader, continued to make clutch plays. Whether it was hitting a big shot or setting up teammates like Kelsey Mitchell for crucial baskets, Clark was keeping the pressure on Atlanta. The Fever were coming alive, and it was all because of the spark that Boston had ignited. As we entered the final quarter of the game, it was clear this was going to be a dogfight. Both teams were giving everything they had, and every possession felt crucial. The Dream, still leading, were desperately trying to close out the game, but Ryan Howard was not about to let them coast. After hitting 2 quick three-pointers, Howard found her rhythm, putting the Dream in a commanding position. The Fever, on the other hand, were trying to keep pace, but their defense was still shaky. Indiana couldn't close out on Howard fast enough, and she capitalized, hitting 3 straight threes in the span of less than 2 minutes. The Fever's defense was once again failing to contain their shooters, and it seemed like the Dream were on the verge of pulling away. But this is where things got interesting. Caitlin Clark, who had been playing through the tough moments, refused to back down. She continued to fight, creating plays for her teammates and knocking down key shots. Aaliyah Boston once again stepped up. After crashing the boards, she took the ball coast to coast and scored over the outstretched hands of Grier. It wasn't just a great play, it was a statement.
For those shots.
There's Clark on the drive, being hounded behind the back. Boston has it. Shot clock down to 5 again. But Boston
There's that drag screen.
bouncing for Boston. Boston lays it in. It's a 2-point game.
Fever weren't giving up. They weren't going to let the Dream walk away with an easy win. In the end, the game came down to a few key moments. Caitlin Clark had once again proven why she's one of the most exciting players in the league. Her scoring, leadership, and clutch moments were vital for the Fever's resurgence, but Aaliyah Boston's performance was just as critical. Her all-around game and ability to control both ends of the floor was the turning point.
The deck able to keep possession.
They almost didn't get across midcourt.
Alicia Gray.
Together, they formed a duo that could be unstoppable in the WNBA, but they also learned something about their defense. The Fever need to clean up their defensive lapses if they want a challenge for a championship. The Dream, on the other hand, showed that they have the firepower to compete with anyone, but they'll need more consistency in closing out tight games. This was a game that had it all: intense moments, back-and-forth drama, and unforgettable performances. As we look ahead, one thing is certain: the Fever and Dream will be teams to watch, and this game was just a preview of what's to come. The WNBA season is far from over, and if this game taught us anything, it's that you never know who's going to step up and make history.